Hello, this is my data chat for the 5th grade Science Star by Callie Blake. So this is going to be the STAR data set for 5th grade science from last year, actually, from 2024. So the test at a glance is 32 total multiple choice questions with just a couple of drag and drop questions. Reporting category number 1 is matter and energy with a total of 4 questions. Reporting category number 2, force, motion, and energy with 8 questions. Reporting category number 3 was earth and space with a total of 9 questions. And reporting category number 4 is organisms and environments with 11 total questions. So the overall performance of this test was actually pretty bad from an outside perspective. There were only 3 total questions out of those 32 that most students had gotten correct, which, looking at other data sets from earlier this year, that looked pretty bad. So 62 students approached the standard, 29 total students met the grade level standard, and only 11 students mastered the standards, and most of those 11 students were already GT students. So here's a quick glance at our demographic performance. 82 total students tested, 62 approaches, 29 meets, and 11 masters. And you can see all of these, and most of those 11 masters were already GT students. So, and here's another table with the demographic performance. As you can see, GT students outperformed, and African American students also did pretty good on each one when it comes to approaches, meets, and masters, the grade level. Other than that, it's pretty mid, I'd say. So the first question that most students got correct, which I think I was only able to do a couple of these because there wasn't pictures of the questions that they actually did get correct, and this was only one of them that I could see, so the next one is one that only about 70% of students got correct, I believe, or 89 or 79 maybe. So this number 6 was in RCAT 4, Organisms and Environments. The essay is identify fossils as evidence of past living organisms and the nature of the environments at the time using models, and we think students understand that fossils can be used as evidence of how nature was like in the past. So these students performed very well on this question. The next strength question was question number 21, Earth and Space, and the essay was differentiate between weather and climate. And we think students understand average temperature and rainfall over a long period of time are variables of climate, so they did well on this one as well. They have a good understanding about the variables of what actually goes into climate. It's not daily, but over a long period of time. So the first challenging question I chose was number 17, RCAT number 1, matter and energy. Demonstrate that some mixtures maintain physical properties of their ingredients, such as iron fillings in sand and water. And we think students struggle to understand that different substances require different methods of collecting and organizing due to their physical properties. We think this question was challenging for students because this question was asking them to visualize how to remove each substance from the mixture, likely confusing them. The next challenging question I chose was number 31, RCAT number 1, matter and energy, again. Identify changes that can occur in the physical properties of the ingredients of solutions, such as dissolving salt in water or adding lemon juice to water. And we think students struggle to understand how properties of substances can change when combined into a solution. We think this question was missed a lot because students fail to understand that mixing sugar into water changes the substance and multiple properties of the substance of sugar itself. So of course the answer was D, it's sweetness. The only property that sugar is going to keep after being dissolved in water is the taste of it. The texture is going to dissolve, so it's no longer going to be a grainy texture. It might still it might make the water a whitish color, but there's not going to be a distinction between the sugar and the water itself. And the temperature of the sugar itself didn't necessarily change. It was just put into water and dissolved, so it's going to keep its sweetness. And the last challenging question I chose was question number 5 about circuits. RCAT number 2, force, motion, and energy, demonstrate that the flow of electricity in closed circuits can produce light, heat, or sound. We think students struggle to understand the flow of electricity within circuits. We think that this question was likely missed a lot because students misunderstood that switch 2 remaining open meant that only light 1, or L1, was going to stay lit. So of course, if the student closes switch 1 and switch 3, but switch 2 is still open, that means that this battery is not going to get power past switch 1, meaning that only L1 is going to stay lit if we close switch 1 and switch 3. So we think that students had a misunderstanding with what closed and opened switches can cause in the circuit. Instructional strategies for 17 and 31. For both of these, I would implement a station rotation type of activity for students to experiment with hands-on different substances and how they interact with things like funnels, water. Oh, that's supposed to say water. I'm so sorry. Magnets and filters. Screen to separate the gravel, magnets for the iron fillings, and a filter for muddy water, for example. And we can facilitate a class discussion about these findings after students have experimented. And for number 5, I would implement a hands-on learning activity for this one as well. You can order safe circuit building sets online for as little as $20 a piece, and students usually massively benefit from hands-on learning activities and games. This is definitely a researched learning activity and instructional strategy that I have had to go over so many times at this school, so it has been made very clear to me that hands-on learning activities greatly benefit the comprehension of students. Students would be able to experiment firsthand with how circuits function and work as one, closing and opening switches. So assessments for question 17, the formative assessment, we could do a digital drag and drop mini quiz or a card set matching for different tools and substances. And an example could be match the magnet card with the iron fillings card. A summative assessment could be a mastery check mini assessment. Give your students 3 substances and 3 different tools, one each adhering to each of the substances or the mixtures provided, and allow them to perform using the tools how they think they are supposed to be applied. An example of this could be student needs to apply the paper filter tool in order to remove water from the water and sand mixture. Assessments for question number 31, we could do a formative exit ticket containing just a couple of questions to check understanding. And an example of a question could be, a student stirs salt into a cup of warm water. Which property does the salt keep? Just like how we had on the STAR test. So we could actually be giving them real-world practice because they're going to see these questions on the STAR test. And of course, mixing salt into a cup of warm water, it's just going to keep the property of its taste. But the color and the texture and the shape is going to change by dissolving that salt into water. And a summative assessment for this question could be, students will be provided with 35 different stations including various compounds, mixtures, and solutions of simple substances such as the salt and water or sugar and water like we saw in the test, and students are to be provided with a note card and write at least one property of the mixture within each station, just so we can make sure that they have a firm understanding of how these properties interact with each other when it comes to mixtures and compounds. And assessments for question number 5. Formative, a circuit exit ticket including the completion of a completely functional enclosed circuit using a safe circuit building set like I was talking about just a second ago. This can be done in groups, depending on how many circuit sets you are able to provide in your class. And a summative assessment could be setting up 3 to 5 circuit sets that are safe, or that are set up at the front of the classroom, demonstrating different errors, and one demonstrating a fully functional circuit with closed switches. Students are to be provided a note card or a piece of paper and write down where the error in the circuit is for each station visually provided, so we can ensure that they have a firm understanding on why or why not a circuit might or might not be functioning. And what I learned is that students of any demographic can succeed or fail a state test. Obtaining and analyzing this information is extremely important so we can keep modifying and adjusting both tests and curriculum that we provide to our students. And my references are really just what was provided in Canvas. I came up with the assessment strategies, the assessments and strategies on my own, but it's definitely supported by my education here at Texas Women's.